Hey friends, welcome. This is Timothy, and today's Monday music topic is brought to us by Dragon Foo, who wanted to know a little bit more about what it was like being a pro DM and about the service I mentioned a couple of times called StartPlaying.games. So a little bit about StartPlaying.games. I'm going to start with the negatives so we can get that nonsense out of the way and move on through to the positives. Negatives about StartPlaying.games is that in an effort to include every system imaginable for people to be able to play and enjoy, and to try to be as careful as possible about allowing people to enjoy those games with as many safety tools and warnings as are possible, that it can get a little bit overwhelming in the degree of how much choice there is, as well as how much sort of like front-loaded care and specificity needs to be had in order to get games going. Sometimes it can feel a little bit overwhelming on that front, and sometimes it feels like it sort of dilutes the message of inclusivity that is being attempted to be put out there by the awesome crew over at SPG, in that they just are so busy trying to include everything and to allow everything and to warn about every possible thing that it can get a little bit on the absurd front for a lot of basic sort of assumptions that we used to just sort of make about, you know, what games are and what's going to happen, and yeah, it can just get kind of overwhelming for people and kind of dilutes that a little more than maybe his message is intended. The only other real negative that I've ever found is that as a DM, a pro DM, you'll often get sort of a spam message from players that are working on behalf of their established group looking for a DM, and these poor people are having to go down the list and shoot a message to a whole bunch of different DMs trying to find someone who has an opening that fits their time frame and, you know, has the game system that they prefer, etc., when there's actually a tool to fix this on StartPlaying.games, and you just have to scroll all the way down to the bottom of one of the pages, and there's a button, Find a GM, that allows you to put together your little profile and send it out in front of people who are eager to snap up your game and help you to find the adventure that you're looking for. That button is just a little too hidden for my personal taste, and so every time I tell somebody about it, they're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, and it stops them from having to go through all of the click and point of sending messages directly to a heap of DMs. But when it comes to positives, StartPlaying.games, frankly, I sort of stumbled into pro DMing in that, you know, COVID had hit, and I used to be a waiter, and for whatever reason, you know, waiting tables in Washington State was pretty much immediately a no-go. And my wife stumbled on StartPlaying.games, pointed me in the direction, and my biggest problem getting started there was, of course, the imposter syndrome of wondering whether or not I actually even ran a good enough game to charge somebody money to come and check me out. My personal method for getting over that was to go and enjoy somebody else's game. And after paying out the money to see what they were like and enjoying playing in their campaign for a while, you know, I came to the conclusion that, hey, they did some things better than I did and some things not as well as I did, but most of what they were doing was stuff that I could do. And if I could live up to their standard, then I could afford to charge what they were charging. And that got me off on a starter foot. StartPlaying.games is a great service because they have mad marketing skills. That really seems to be the number one thing that me as a DM I really appreciate, because they go out and find players, they go out and advertise games, they do everything that it takes to bring people to your page, and then all you have to do is run a great game so that you're getting great reviews and slowly build up your cadre of players and a be able to draw more, because Start Playing Games takes care of all of the marketing side of things and all the advertising. I don't advertise anywhere except my personal Discord, and then putting my game up on SPG, and I let them do all of the other hard work. So I don't have to go trolling through looking for groups in Reddit and all of the other places where pro DMs sometimes get some hate, and also just in general, it's a bunch of extra work to try and get a game off the ground that I don't have to do. They also take care of payment processing. Obviously, they take a small cut, but it's only 10%, and in exchange for that, they take care of the payment and the marketing, and when there's any kind of payment issue, Start Playing Games pretty much takes care of that as well. They send out the emails to remind people, hey, there was a mistake on your card, and the redo of card processing in order to be able to continue stuff, and they have a 24-hour cancellation policy so that people don't just ghost you at the last minute and leave you holding the bag without being held accountable for not doing so. There's lots of great things to be said about that, but it's just a stress reliever for DMs that, if you're anything like me, you just don't really want to get into that kind of interaction with people where you're constantly worrying about money. It's just not fun. They have an amazing support staff. I've had a couple of occasions to be interviewed by some of the upper guys in SPG, and they're some pretty cool dudes that seem very down to earth, that actually play the games, actually run the games, and are enjoying themselves with players, while at the same time being all about running what, from my understanding, is a pretty decently big business that they're working on, and they're constantly bringing on additional staff to handle their massive Discord and to make sure that everybody has a fast turnaround on things. And as mentioned earlier, though it feels like the message is diluted sometimes, they are putting in so much effort trying to create a safe space for players to come to find the kinds of DMs that they're looking for, and for DMs to come and provide the kind of game that they're looking for, whether that's your tiny little indie thing that only 5 people in the world have heard of, or 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, which is obviously the meat and potatoes of the tabletop RPG world. They also have a referral program, so if you're planning on heading over to Start Playing Games and starting to join a game somewhere, my link's down in the description. If you want to give me some free play time with my pals that doesn't cost you a dime, then by spending your first $10 on Start Playing Games, the referral link gives you $10 for that person having done so. And make sure that you create your own link and move that on to your other friends so that you can get more people playing and get yourself off the ground to a great start. When it comes to how Start Playing Games helps to create the pro atmosphere and what it's like being a professional DM in general, I think that if you're going to become a professional dungeon master, one of the things that really helped me was to become a professional about it. It means that when I had scheduled the game, I got to set my own schedule because I'm my own boss, but at the same time, once other people had agreed to be there, I'm a professional, I'll show up. If I'm not going to show up, there has to be something really, really wrong. I had neck surgery, so I got a week off from my games, but now my players know I'm back, and they know that I will be there at game time 10 minutes before, ready with everything set up to provide them the best game that I'm capable. Even though these players have been with me now, in some cases for 2.5 years, hundreds of games, some of them play up to 4 times a week with me, 4-hour sessions, and I'm super grateful for those people. They've become my friends, but at the end of the day, they're my friends to whom I am beholden because they're my customers. So treat it like a job, and give people professional service because they are paying you to be their professional DM. I think that was something that has been important to me in my business, and something that I think sometimes get lost when we're playing our hobby for in order to make a living or to make a little side hustle of extra money. You know, I would say, particularly if you are like me and you suffer from imposter syndrome, to start small and build. Start. I don't want to say cheap. Start moderately priced and build. You might not be like me. You might not have troubles worrying that you're not worth the amount that you charge at the table. You might think you're worth more than that. You might do the math and realize that you could probably make a similar sort of wage to this by flipping burgers in your local state if you really wanted to. You probably won't love it as much as you'll love being a DM, but it's a real thing. So price yourself as low as you can feel comfortable with, I think, for your first game, at least, and give it everything you got. See how much time it really takes you to do the things, and do the math to actually work out what you're going to make behind the scenes. This is a job for you, so you need to treat it like that, especially if you're wanting to make this your living. You need to know what your expenses are going to be. You need to know how much you need to make, and thus how much you're going to have to do. You're not going to make big money being a professional dungeon master. You're not going to get rich at this. You're not going to probably be able to survive running 15, 20 games a week. You're not probably going to want to have 40 hours of playtime because of all the prep time that you're going to throw in addition to that, and it can be pretty crazy. So make sure that you start out small, figure out what your business is going to look like, and then work on building your prices from there. Likewise, because you'll have built a rapport with certain players and you'll start getting some reviews that will help you to get other people interested in you as a DM, you'll have an easier time of raising your prices later than you will at the very, very beginning. But nowadays it's super not uncommon for people to get started on Start Playing Games at $15 or $20 a seat, 5 or 6 people at the table for a regular session. Do what you can get away with your imposter syndrome, and do what you can to provide good value for players. Personally, I've found Foundry Virtual Tabletop to be really helpful as a pro DM. I used to play D&D on Roll20 and thought the system was garbage, and my opinion hasn't really changed a whole heck of a lot as we've gone from there. For me personally, I use Start Playing Games to get my games set up and running. I use Discord to organize everything, and for my game time video stream and communication. I run Virtual Tabletop Foundry for people to play on, and I use a Sirenscape subscription in order to get my music synced up for everybody at the table. And you can dive down that rabbit hole as deep or as light as you want, though Discord now is providing some pretty cool tools for adding some soundboard stuff as well. Build a community around your professional dungeon mastery, and if you do that, I think that's a real key to success in the space, is not just to be run a game and done. Even though you're attempting professionalism, these people you're going to spend more time with than you spend with most of your family outside of your house. So these are people that you're going to have to grow to like to some degree, or to be able to understand and have a rapport with. And as you can build a community of people that get along and enjoy one another's company, you're going to find that it's easier to fill the start of a game, and it's easier to bring new people in because you'll have created a culture in your own personal space. Technically speaking, I probably don't need Start Playing Games anymore if I wanted to just keep running games for my particular crew, but I won't be switching off of Start Playing Games anytime soon either. I'm grateful for what they've done to help me get where I'm at. I'm grateful for the marketing skills that they put to use in order to fill out those seats that my players can't get into, and to constantly bring new blood into our little community. It's a great service, and being a pro DM, it's not all sunshine and roses. There are definitely days when you're a little bit under the weather, but not so under the weather that you would call out from work, and so not so under the weather that you don't run a game, and it can be hard to get started. But I love DMing, and I love playing Dungeons and Dragons, and I love seeing the successes that my players come up with. And so at the end of the day, it's easy to get excited for game time, because once I'm in there and everybody's crazy shenanigans are going on, it's easy to have fun. So that keeps me going a lot of the time. The fact that I can work from home is a huge boon for me. I can even work on the go. I've run from my laptop at a hotel once, but you got to make sure, of course, that you can still provide the same kind of quality. And Foundry helps to make that possible for me personally, as I lean a lot on its tools and on great creators that create incredible maps. I hope this has been helpful, Dragonfu, and for anybody else who was interested in Start Playing Games, definitely go check them out. Whether or not you're interested in running games there, it's a awesome service for matching you with the right DM so that you can have the adventure that you're looking for, and hopefully so that a lot of different DMs out there can get those few extra bucks to pay for all the rule books that maybe their home players don't want to be the ones to pay for. Thanks so much for watching. Happy adventuring.